Good evening. It's 5 o'clock on Monday, August the 1st. The Goldsboro City Council meeting will proceed. We'll start with the work session and call the meeting to order and ask the clerk to call the roll.
Mayor Ham.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Polak.
Here.
Councilwoman Jones.
Here.
Councilman Broadway.
Present.
Councilwoman Matthews.
Present.
Councilman Gaylor.
Present.
We're all here. Next order of business is the adoption of the agenda. Is there any changes or additions that anyone wants to make? Yes, sir.
Just for a closed session, sir, for economic development, personnel, and potential litigation.
Economic development and personnel.
And potential litigation.
Move to adopt. Second.
Motion's been made and second to adopt the agenda with as changed. All in favor, raise your hand. All opposed? Motion's carried. Okay, we'll go to old business. We'll continue with the redistricting, and I guess we're going to have, you want to take it planning, or so we're going to have start off with our consultants?
Sure, Mayor, I'll just come on in and introduce our guests again, which you already know. Of course, Pointer Sproul are here tonight. We have Miss Caroline Mackey with Bill Gilkinson, and they have produced 3 maps for council to preview. And at the last meeting we had, based off of comments by Ms. Hiawatha, Councilwoman Hiawatha Jones, and Mayor Ham, they have come back with another map, option B1. The map is currently in our ante room, located in the adjacent room right beside the chambers here. Feel free to go take a look at that. They're going to offer you some more information and data for you to digest tonight regarding maps B1 and take on any questions you might have about this new map or any of the other maps that we currently have on file. And hopefully, if everybody's in agreement, maybe we'll have a chance to vote on which map you'd like to use going forward in the redistricting process. Okay. And so without further ado, I'll turn it over to Bill Gilkinson and Caroline Mackey.
Welcome back, sir.
Thank you. I believe I was just talking earlier with Mr. Hennant, who is in the room there, and he was going to bring up the PowerPoint, and what I plan to do is kind of go back and forth between a PowerPoint and the interactive map. I think you maybe can see things a little better on the interactive map. And have I got this right side up or upside down?
I think it's upside down.
That's what I did last time. Okay.
Middle button.
Middle button, sorry. So I'll start with the standard disclaimers here. We did not use partisan considerations or look at partisan election data in drawing these alternative maps, and we did not talk with any individual board member about drawing the maps outside of a public meeting, and I'll emphasize something about that in just a minute. So the criteria that we follow, this is all stuff that you've seen before. We use the corrected data with for Goldsboro's population with the 593 people that were incorrectly counted outside the city. We counted them inside the city. We observed the legal requirements of one person, one vote. With all the so all the districts are within the deviation range of 5% plus or minus the ideal number. So that means that all the districts, that the biggest district there can be would be 5,993 people, and the smallest district there could be would be 5,423 people. We avoided pairing incumbents. None of the 4 options pairs incumbents, and all the incumbents or in the same district number that they have now. And we tried to preserve the cores of existing districts in all of the alternatives. In all the options, we kept District 6, which apparently does not have a representative at this point, and exactly the same as now. It wasn't possible to keep Districts 3 and 4 exactly the same in the same plan, but we put in option A, we left District 3 alone. In option B, we left District 4 alone. In option C, we didn't leave either of those districts alone, but changed them in a smaller way, and we'll describe what happened in option B1 later. So the additional goals, you've heard about that. And so here are the current districts, and the District 1 is too small, Districts 2 and 5 are too large, Districts 3, 4, and 6 are the right size. So here's our basis for drawing the fourth option. As I said before, our policy requires that we take instruction from council members only in public meetings. So we can't talk to individuals about outside of the meeting. In the July 11th public meeting, Councilmember Jones said that she liked option B, but asked that we draw a change to it so that Center Street was in District 3 rather than in her district, District 1, and that District 1 took in more territory in the north part of the city. And she wanted to see if that could be done, and we agreed to try to do that. In addition to that, back in the June 20th meeting, Mayor Hamm and Councilmember Broadway raised concerns about the splitting of neighborhoods in some of the plans, particularly in Plan B. And those concerns were referred to again in the July 11th meeting. So in response to Mayor Jones's request, we changed option B, and we're calling it B1. And while we were doing it, we made some changes to address the concerns about split neighborhoods. And so the result is option B1. I thought I would go back over just try to quickly go back over the options that you've already seen to describe them a little bit. And Mr. Henner, if you could go to the interactive map now and show us option A. Just option A. So option A, in option A, as you remember, District 1 has to gain some population, and in this one, it gains its population from District 4. District 3 is left exactly the same in option A, and Mr. Henner, if you could also click on the map just below option A, the current map, you can see where kind of where the changes are in the south part of just south of downtown. That's where you can see a change in coloration, and that's where District 1 comes down and takes from District 4. So District 4 takes territory from District 2 in the residential part of Seymour Johnson Air Force Base. You can kind of see that in the change in color between 2 and 4 there in the residential part of the base. And District 2 takes 3 blocks. If you could zoom in a little bit, Mr. Hennett, takes 3 blocks north of that's good, north of East Ash Street to make up the balance. So if you could zoom back out and unclick on the current map, great. So in this as in the current map and in option C, option A, if you go up there, if you could maybe zoom into the area around on Country Day Road in the north part of town. You could pull that, if you could move down a little bit, the opposite direction, move down there. There's a neighborhood called Garden Walk that's off Country Day Road, and this map, as does the current map, splits the neighborhood of Garden Walk. It goes along the district border there is between the pink and the yellow district is along Garden Drive, which is in the middle of that neighborhood. So that's the same configuration that you have with option C, with the current map and with option C. And as in the current map and option C, option A splits the Woodcrest Terrace public housing neighborhood on Holly Street. That options B and B1 don't do that. Mr. Henry, if you could zoom out a bit and then click on the Goldsboro public housing thing up there. Yeah, these are, and back out a little bit there, these are the 9, at one of your meetings you were asking about public housing projects and discussing those, and I was not much help at all because I didn't know where any of them were. But now I do. Those are the 9 public housing projects. Now the biggest one, as I understand it, is West Haven. Then the second biggest is Lincoln Homes, and the third biggest is Fairview, and there's some and Elmwood is also pretty big. These are all unsplit. They're in one, all in one district, except for in all of the plans, except for the Woodcrest Terrace development there, which is split between 3 and 5 here, and it's also split between 3 and 5 in the current map. So that's option A. If we could go to option, if you could click on option B and click off of option A. There we go. So option B on this one, District 4 is left untouched. At District 3, District 3 is not untouched. District 1 makes up its deficit by going by going east across Center Street and up in the Greenleaf area and taking over some territory from District 3, and then District 3 takes territory from District 5 in the area west of Goldsboro High School, and then west of Wayne Memorial Drive. If you could unclick on the public housing and then click on the current map there, you can kind of see the changes. Maybe zoom in a little bit. You can see that there are some changes between District 3 and District 5 in that area west of Goldsboro High School, and then up there in the area the District 3 in option B takes over all that area west of both west of Country Day Road and west of Wayne Memorial Drive. There's an area up there across from the hospital that I think it's called Lock Haven Drive, and it's got some apartments there. In the current map, that's in District 5 in this map, that's in that, and all of the area west of Country Day Drive are in District 3. And then, so this plan does not split the Garden Walk neighborhood. Option B also does not split the Woodcrest Terrace public housing development, so it doesn't split any public housing developments.
But you split Pill Hill neighborhood. You're
I'm
splitting that neighborhood there.
split which neighborhood now?
Around the mall.
Oh, right, the Pill Hill neighborhood.
Yes.
Right. This one does take, in option B, District 5 takes territory from District 2 in the area west of the Berkeley Mall, and it notably, as you all noted, splits the Pill Hill neighborhood, which none of the other plans do. So then we go to option C. Let's unclick on B and unclick on the current. So here's option C, and the characteristics here is that it makes up its deficit by going into both districts. District 1 makes up its deficit by going into both districts 3 and 4, but less so than do A or B. So option C, let's see, does split the Garden Walk neighborhood on Country Day Road, and as do most of the other map, as do A and as do A and the current map. In this case, in this map, in option C, the Lockwood Drive area where the apartments are across from the hospital is in District 5 rather than District 3. And so down where else here, this option 5 does not, District 5 is less changed in this map than it is in I think in any other one, and it doesn't. The 3 blocks north of East Ash Street aren't changed. I mean, that District 5 doesn't lose them. District 2 loses less of the Seymour Johnson residential area in option C than in option A, and it doesn't gain or lose any territory with option 5. So, okay, I said I was going to briefly talk about the things you've already seen. That wasn't so brief, was it? But
Question, before you proceed.
Yes, sir.
If I'm not mistaken, where you're saying about Garden Walk,
right,
it only has 2 other streets, Renolda and Airlie, if I'm not mistaken. Would those houses be, I mean, you're saying that option C, from what you presented thus far, is probably the most favorable based on not taking as much from the District 3 or District 4 as opposed to the plans A and B. Is that correct?
Right,
Okay.
right,
I just
right.
wanted to
So
make sure before we
so
proceed.
far.
So far, okay.
So Garden Walk is basically one street that goes in and
Branches out.
4 like loops that come off of that
Right.
of that street. And this plan, as does the current plan and as does option A, uses that street as the boundary line, and so it
Gotcha.
splits Garden Walk. So next thing then would be option B1. And we finally get to option B1, aren't you glad? Right, the characteristics of this. It just starts with option B, and it makes 5 changes. Change 1, as Councilmember Jones requested, it puts Center Street in District 3, or at least the east side of it. So Center Street in this map is the boundary between 1 and 3. If we had been able to Representative, I used to work for the legislature. Council Member Jones said she wanted Center Street to be in District 3. If I had been able to talk to her individually, I could have called her up and said, "Do you mean would it be good enough to have just the east side of Center Street, or do you want do you want the other side too?" But I couldn't do that, and that would violate our rule about talking to individual members. So what this does, just so you know, is it makes Center Street the boundary the way it is in all the other maps, except B. Between 1 and 3. It also makes a necessary adjustment to 1 and 3 by moving the blocks southeast of Patetown Road and William Street. If you could move down a little bit, see you see where if you could zoom in a little bit, there we go. And move the map down a little bit, where it says Greenleaf there, everything, and there's Patetown Road. You see everything to the south of that is put into the District 1. At the corner of just southeast of William Street and Patetown Road is the Greenleaf Disciples of Christ Church, whose pastor is a very famous person. But so this district, that is what is there. There are also I believe, some apartments that may be connected with the church that are there. These would go to District 1, and they were in District 3. So now let's see what else. That was the second thing we did. The third thing we did, it changes 2 and 4, so that if you could zoom out, so that the Pill Hill neighborhood is no longer split. And this is a version of B. This is B1. It's a version of B that doesn't split Pill Hill, since that seemed to be an objection. Let's see, it makes the necessary adjustments to Districts 2, 3, and 5 by giving District 5 several blocks south of Ash Street between Lee and Madison. So that takes, some of those come from District 3, and some of them come from District 5. Now, the council member Pollock lives not too far from there, but your house is, I'm pretty sure, I've checked, and your house is still in District 3, and council member Broadway lives pretty close on the other side, but your house is still in District 2. So, and the fifth thing it does is it makes a further adjustment to District 5 by giving District 4 several additional blocks in the residential part of Seymour Johnson. If you could move the map so we can see Seymour Johnson there, and then click on the current map. You can, it's a little hard to see there, but there are several blocks there in the residential part of the base that go from District 5 to District 4, just to make up the difference. So, okay, if you could go back to the PowerPoint now. Back to the PowerPoint, and I've got a lot of clicking to do here. All these things that I just attempted to describe by doing it on the interactive map. And so here is the black and white demographics of all the districts, including at the black percentage of total population, black percentage of voting age population, white percentage of total population, white percentage of voting age population. And you can see on the right side of all of those are the numbers for option B1. And there's not a huge change, I don't think, from either the current map or from B. It looks like, well, you can take that in. Yeah, you all are perfectly capable of taking that in yourselves. And so, what else? Okay, a word about the public housing neighborhoods. I've already discussed that, and you could see that on the interactive map, so I won't. And so here's the interactive map, and that's what I got.
Any questions?
I think you got what we wanted with B1.
Not really. Well, I want to thank you so much for doing that. It meant a lot to me. I was hoping that it was go back the other way instead over by Greenleaf Church over in that area. I was hoping that whatever district had that would keep that.
Okay.
Keep that out. I was hoping that it would go back the other way. But it's excellent the way you did it, and I really appreciate it. But that's and we couldn't talk,
Right.
And I hate that. But I would not like to District 1 to take that Greenleaf area with whoever had it.
And I appreciate her saying that, because I know we're talking about Hill.
No.
It's a more massive community, but even though this is not as massive, it's still a close-knit, very tight. That's my district. Orange Street, the streets behind Reverend Barber's Church, as well as Grace Greenleaf, which is across the street. I mean, it's a very close-knit.
These are the areas south of Paytown
Yes,
Road.
sir. Yeah, right behind the fire station. Right. Yeah, I appreciate that, Councilwoman Johnson.
Yes. Yeah.
Any other comments, questions?
So with in option C, which that's the option that I favor the most. Do you maintain that territory in option C?
Yes. Yeah.
See, I would, whatever option that you maintain that in, I would prefer
Yes, ma'am.
that. My objective was to I just don't like Center Street split. So I wanted to see Center Street go to you or whoever is going to be in the area.
Yes, ma'am.
Center Street to go to you, and I go farther back out the other way, not
Right.
the way that he is. Yeah.
Mr. Hennard, if you could bring up the interactive map again, so maybe you can see. And here's B1 and the current district. So if you could unclick the current one, that's what we're talking about there, and zoom in a little bit on the area that the members were discussing. So, Ms. Jones, you were saying that you would prefer to, what is it you would prefer to do?
For it to go, by my sense of direction, that it would not go that way.
East, but further west.
East.
Further east,
Not,
okay.
that it would not go east.
Like further east along Paytown
Yeah, that it
Road.
wouldn't go there, that it would go the other, he have all of Center Street. You would have all
Right.
of Center Street. You would keep whatever you had,
Yes,
and you
ma'am.
would have all of Center Street, and then District One would go back the other way, the other side.
District
Do you have
One.
Center Street now? I'm sorry to interrupt. Do
See,
you have
see,
Center
right
Street
now, I have the eastern side of center. She
Right.
has the western side of center.
Right.
She was saying that she would give up all of her side
Right.
for her to expand further west. Instead of, is that
Yes,
going that way?
yeah.
Okay, so you would take, you would take the blocks west of Center Street as
Yes,
well?
mhm.
Okay, that's something I was wondering about. I mean,
Yeah,
Uh,
and we couldn't talk, and I just assumed, you know what assume means, but, yeah.
and then to make up for that, you would, Mr. Hennard, if you could move the map, if you could show more of the north on the map, or maybe just zoom out a bit. Yeah, so, wish I had a laser and could point, but those things, those blocks just north of Paytown Road, you would like to have those or not?
Yeah, I'm saying north, I'm going back over,
Can
Maybe
you
I'm
zoom
going
it in
to-
a little bit
yeah,
more?
I need, because
Let me see.
I'm not really good at that.
Do you mind pointing to it on the map, Councilwoman Jones, the one that's behind you? Could you,
Oh,
'cause they got the
Oh,
streets and
okay,
stuff.
all right, I do, yeah, okay. Let me see, where am I?
So this is gonna be William Street. This is William Street right here. Okay?
Right.
Okay,
All right. And,
that's Greenleaf. You show me all of what you got, because I want to go back,
okay, so.
I want to go back over this way, the
Right,
long
you wanna
trail.
go back there,
Yes,
right.
yeah, I want to go back this way.
Well, so you would like the pink to take over that area
Yes.
up there?
Yeah.
Well, the problem is that if you take the, if District 3, the pink district, takes the blocks west of Center Street, then the blue has to take more rather than give up. You've got to take over more of the pink rather than give up stuff to the pink. You see what I'm saying?
And we're looking at B1, right?
This is B1
With the changes that.
with the
okay.
changes.
Do you mind looking at the south?
Yeah,
so
see.
it's at the District 1 and B1? Do you mind scrolling the map down so we can see the southern end of District 1 and B1?
Sure. I mean,
Perfect, thank you.
Mr. Hennett can do that. I can't do that. But there we go. This is the same as it is now. The different, the border between 4 and 1 is the same as currently. Because this was option B was the one that did not change 4 at all. So the only thing that this changes, that B1 changes about 4 are the blocks in Seymour Johnson. Which I think we had a discussion before about that. There's a question about how many of the people who live there vote in city elections, but, you know.
And these maps are intended to survive about 10 years?
Oh, yes.
I have concerns about the viability of flood maps around Airborough, South Goldsboro, and the ability to retain residents in that chunk, this, just south of the blue where it's orange right now. There's really nothing to do about it, cause you gotta draw the map based on where they are now, but,
We have to do it based on the 2020
Right.
census. I mean, that's.
I understand.
I think the only thing about this one, is that it has to make such a significant change to District 3.
Yeah.
And, you know, my goal is to try to figure out how can we still accomplish what needs to be accomplished, right? Because we have to do something with the districts having the least bit of tampering with. And I don't mean that negatively, I mean just changing of the districts. So I'm wondering, well, I mean, I like the C option, and that's because I think District 4 and 3 both have to give up something.
Right.
Versus either district having to give up more while one district doesn't change. So I think that was the winner for me there. I understand what.
That is C.
C.
Option C, yes. I do understand about splitting the neighborhoods, and I think we all kind of agree that we didn't want to do that. I think though, if one neighborhood has to be changed versus several others, I think that option, any option that does the least, you know, is better than an option that we're trying to accommodate just one particular spot.
You know, I'll just say this again, Center Street needs to be in the same district.
Both sides of Center Street.
Both sides of Center Street. That was all I was getting at, not to go farther east or to go out, but just both sides, you know.
But one thing to consider too, Councilwoman Jones, is even with me and Councilmember Polak's district, like I literally have a house right here, and then he has the one right beside it. So I think a lot of our districts literally split streets. So I get what you're saying, but I think it would be, I mean, especially me and Councilmember Polak, a lot of our streets, like one house is his, one house is, you know, my district. So I think, you know, that's just something we're having to just
I
deal
think
with.
by it being downtown, I just would think that, you know, and I get what you're saying. These are houses, but I think with it being downtown, it would be, you know, great for it not to split. I mean, if that was my major concern about any of the options, was that Center Street being split. So for me, I mean, B is good, you know. You know, if Center Street has to be split and there's nothing that we can do about it, then I'm, you know, okay.
Well, it doesn't have to be split, correct?
Option B
No.
has it not split.
Right. Option B has it not split, but of course, option B is the one that has
There are other
Bill
pieces,
split,
other
yes, it
I
challenges.
does.
can't agree to splitting it because I can't agree to split Phil Hill because I've got all that industrial area in the other side, and I can't agree on that.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
Could
I
you all excuse me
I
while
won't
I have
agree
a
with that at all.
consultation?
Yeah, I think we can discuss it. I think I'm asking all of us to consider we're having to give up something. Like the majority of us are having to give up something. So what are we willing to give up that we can agree on one of these options that we have? I don't think it's fair to ask District 4 or District 3 to have such a significant change. So, because that, if you look at those options, either of our districts are gonna have to change significantly. And I don't think that's a fair ask right there. But while we're trying to just have specifics in our district, because I could easily argue a lot of, you know, what they're about to do in the other options takes a big heart out of District 4 that has always been there. So if, you know, all of us are gonna have to be willing to give something, you know, and we just have to figure out, you know, what that something is while still being fair to the other districts. So,
Well,
And I think-
for me, if District 1 has to split Center Street, then any option is fine with me.
You said what now? I'm sorry.
I said if District 1, in any of the options, if District 1 has to split Center Street, then I'll go with any of them, because that is my only concern, is Center Street being split.
I can attempt to make some changes to either B1 or some other of the plans if I get, is there a consensus that you want me to do that, or is there a consensus, or would you like to just vote on what's on the four
Well,
maps
if you
that
can
are
make-
before you?
For me, if you can make some adjustments and make it happen, I would agree to that, but it's up to the council, however.
I think that Councilwoman Jones would like to have Center Street all in District 3, is that correct?
Yes.
Mr. Broadway would like to retain Peel Hill as one contingent,
Right.
contiguous unit.
Right.
And Councilman Pollock, the district out there on Greenleaf, he wants to keep that in as a single.
So you would like to keep, Mr. Hennard, if you could show us that part of the district again.
So why not all of Center Street go into District 1 then? Because then that would eliminate you having to spread out into that Greenleaf area.
Well, I think
it makes
there's-
more sense to
There's
do that.
there's more, the way I see it, there's more Center Street in his area than mine.
But I'm saying if we can put all of Center Street into District 1, and that doesn't have to go into District 3 where Greenleaf is, that District 3 wants to keep, does that solve the problem of District 3
I
still
would
being able
prefer for the Center Street to be with councilman in his area.
With
That's what I would prefer.
District 3.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's acceptable to you, Mr. Pollock?
Well, I think the biggest compromise is between District 4 and my district. I mean, if one option, one is gonna have to give it all, the other option, the other's gonna have to give it all,
Okay.
right? So the biggest compromise, I think, in the agreement that Councilmember Matthews and I have, is we're willing to equally balance,
Sure.
I guess,
Sure.
would be the sensible, and that's why I asked you the question before you presented B1. We're willing to compromise. I mean, she's not being selfish and saying, I want all my district. I'm not being selfish saying I want all my district. We're ultimately all gonna lose with either situation. I mean, the thing is, I understand one representative wants to stand by his district wholeheartedly with Peel Hill. I want to stand by mine and she wants to stand by hers, but we're having to come to an agreement amongst our districts. And I think C is just the most sensible to not lose or either gain at an alarming,
Right.
rate. And
I mean, what I'm hearing is, at the beginning, District 1 didn't want to compromise on that Greenleaf, Orange Street area.
Mhm.
So we have a solution that would not allow District 1 to compromise on that area, but it takes District 3 Center Street and puts it into 1. But to me, that's a very fair trade. Because if not, then I feel like District 4 and District 3 are gonna have to be willing to give more of themselves. So again, if we're trying to be fair, I'm not trying to hold on to anything, but I want it to be fair. So I'm wondering, where is the compromise with District 1 saying?
Well, what
I'm
we
sorry,
could do-
I wasn't finished. I'm almost
Okay.
finished. I'm just saying, is that something that we're willing to look at?
Mr.
That
Hennett,
compromise.
I don't mean to interrupt.
No, go ahead, I'm done.
I'm sorry. Mr. Hennett, could you bring up district, option C? and take off option B1. So this is option C, and it is the one that changes both 3 and 4, but it changes them less than the others do. And the part of, so if we could, so this has got the Greenleaf area, or at least the part of it east of William Street.
So you have
That's in 3, and it's got, it doesn't split Pill Hill. The changes that it makes to, District 4, if you could bring up District 4, please, are, I believe, only changes in Seymour Johnson.
It
Isn't that
cuts
right?
this top right here. There's some changes over there right by the blue. That whole top place, that's changing.
That's districts, that's
1.
C.
Right. So
Okay.
so this option, which is C, changes to 4, not only in Seymour Johnson, but it's right there at the tip of
Right.
pink and blue. So we're
Right.
losing some of the district there as well.
Okay, so, you were saying that you are okay with option C.
Yes, because I think it's fair for I think it's the most fair for everybody, considering that we're all having to give up something.
Okay, and, Mr. Pollock, you're okay with option C?
Yes, sir. And you did also say that that's not gonna disrupt Pill Hill, correct?
No.
So Pill Hill's not gonna be affected in
Option
this one,
C
and-
does not mess with
and I'm not
Pill
gonna-
Hill at
And
all.
I give up some ground to, District 5.
Gotcha.
I give up some blocks to District 5 too. Going down Dunn.
Yes, sir.
And
Is there one that you're
I am
favorable
saying,
with?
like I said before, if
Or not?
Center Street has to be split, then I'm okay with either option. I'm
Okay,
fine.
with
Yeah.
either C or.
Yeah, I'm okay with either one. If
Well-
it has to be split, then let's just,
I guess one thing that could be done, I did not actually attempt to put both sides of Center Street in options in District C in any of these maps, but I can try that. And I can start with option C. If I started with option C and attempted to put at least most of the west side of Center Street in District 3, I'm not sure how many people live there. I don't think it's very many
There's
people.
a big ditch, actually, North Center Street, used to be my old fire district. There's a ditch that separates, I think, I'm just guessing maybe 20, if that.
Well,
Yeah.
I parked my car on the west side of Center
Right,
Street, and it looks like mostly businesses over there to me. I don't know. I can attempt to do that, and I can attempt to do it tonight. And so just to be clear, what I will attempt to do is put
okay,
is.
I just want everybody to be fair. But like I said, if Center Street has to be split, and I have to have one side and he has to have the other side, then option C or B is, I'm fine. I'm fine with it.
Option C or B.
Yes.
Okay. So I think I'm hearing marching orders to take C and attempt to put both sides of Center Street in District C. And it may be possible.
I personally don't think option C should be tempered with to put Center Street into District 3, because I think now what it does is it's got to move some other stuff around. So I think.
Well, what if it didn't have to? What, I'm looking, so we've got C, and I'm gonna look here at the populations. So, well, I don't know about that. In option C, District 1 is minus 4.4% below the ideal number, so there may not be much room there unless just nobody lives on the west side of Center Street.
So does that mean if they're down and you take more out of their district, it makes them further down?
Yeah, if that's
much.
right. That's exactly right. And so I would have to take some, District 3 is also pretty far down in option C. And I could, if you take the west side of Center Street and there actually are people living there, then it would help District 3, but it wouldn't help District 1. District 1 would have to get something from somewhere.
Nobody living there.
And it might, there would be room to get stuff from District 4 on the south part of town. But I see you shaking.
I, like I said, I would desire everyone to be fair as well. And I don't want any district to give up more than they have to. And like I said, if Center Street, if Center Street cannot be together, and if Taj can't remain in his district to have what he already had, I'd rather for it to remain like it is.
So if I can't make it work to put all of Center Street in, to change option C, to put all of the west of Center Street into Mr. Pollock's district,
And
then
without being fair.
then you're okay with option
Yes.
C.
Yes.
And you're okay with C? C?
I'm a C.
C?
C as it is, not the edited C that you're gonna work on.
Right.
And so C seems to be the general consensus here.
But if I can tweak it so that Center Street is in 3, what if I can only put a little bit of Center Street in 3? Would that be better than nothing?
Well, however you want to do it. Like I said, you can try that.
Okay.
If you're gonna move any of Center Street, you need to move all of Center Street.
Or at least between Elm and Ash.
Sorry?
Yeah, or at least between Elm and Ash.
Yeah.
Is that really what we're talking about?
I think so.
Yes.
Probably so, right?
Elm and Ash, so what's that, the downtown
If you could,
here?
Yeah.
Mr. Henry, could you
MSD.
zoom in on downtown? So we can see Elm and Ash.
It's all commercial, most of it.
Yeah, we got a lot of apartments.
There's Elm.
Ash where.
And there's Ash,
Circle
okay.
Tire, if, Circle Tire, the Carpet Place,
And the
Artistic
the
Place,
monument to the
if-
plane.
Yeah, that way, if, Whirl, if
Okay.
those could go downtown pharmacy, if those could go to Taj, how could that work?
But that's
I
only
think
like
what Councilwoman Jones is
5
referring to is
apartments.
the MSD, the the Central Municipal Business District. I don't know why that was so hard to get out of my mouth, but that business district there all is a central taxation block as well, and so being able to keep that together, that's a really fair point. I hadn't really thought about it that way, and that.
But this would be between Elm and Ash.
It is on Center Street, and there are a lot of apartments that are there. There are a lot of apartments that are coming that are being populated as we speak. Again, I know we have to focus on the 2020 census, but looking to the future as well.
2 years ago, that the census was taken.
Right.
The numbers we're working with are 2 years old.
Right.
But I'm hearing two different things. I'm hearing you say all of Elm and Ash, which would make more sense. And then I'm hearing from Ash just right there to the pharmacy, right? So, Councilwoman Jones said from Ash to like the pharmacy in that area, but, you know, Gaylor is saying, Councilmember Gaylor, forgive me, is saying from Elm to Ash, which kind of echoes what the mayor said about including all of it versus just chunks of it, because where she's talking about, I don't see a lot of apartments. I
was at downtown, okay, downtown pharmacies all the way back to, Crime Freedom, back in that area. There are gonna be apartments back there.
Well, what I'm gonna be working with here are blocks. I'm
Okay.
pretty sure the city blocks are also census blocks. And so unless the apartments are right on Center Street,
They're not, right?
No.
No, they're not.
If-
They're
if
behind.
they're
you.
There
back
are
a block
some,
away,
there are a few.
I wouldn't be picking them
Up
up.
at
I would
the-
just be,
I mean, don't forget the old hotel. I mean, that's a large number of apartments right on Center Street, but they're already in.
They're in my
Town
Yeah,
Square.
they're on, see,
Yeah,
they're
yeah, they're
already
on
in
the
your
east side.
district.
Yeah, they're on my side already.
Yeah,
But
they're on your side.
there are apartments, downtown pharmacy, there are apartments there.
Right.
okay, well, this is something I can find out easily enough. So the consensus I'm hearing is, option C, if, best, the preferred, the preferred map would be option C with, the blocks between, the blocks west of Center Street between Elm and Ash in 3. And if that doesn't work, then just option C.
See,
Was that
Is that right?
consensus?
yeah.
How far are you gonna go west? 1 street? 2, 3?
Just a
One
street.
street.
1 street. Okay.
It seems like more work than necessary. I mean,
I'm fine
and
with
it
C.
sucks kind of because there's, you know, it's not particularly favorable for just one person, but I think everybody is already giving up something, and for it to just be, this is, you know, I think if we all agree that option C is it, and Councilman, I'm not trying to change your mind or make you feel how, I respect your feelings, they're valid, they're yours. I'm just saying, if we all are saying right now that option C is it, then are we willing to say option C is it as it is, or are we gonna ask him to go and try to do this process, you know, all over again? So let's, you know, I mean, is that what we're?
I think I can do the process very quickly tonight,
Okay.
because I've got my,
If you
I
do it
think-
quickly tonight.
And if you think you can do it very quickly, I would appreciate it.
okay, and it may be that what I will determine is I can't do it, that it can't
Right,
be
and
done.
I mean, and like I said, and, you know, if it can't be done, then option C.
And
But,
so,
you know, since you
I
said
will
you
just,
can, you know,
I will just attempt to put those blocks in District 3 and not attempt to, if I make District 1 too small, not attempt to go find other blocks
right.
Right.
to
That makes sense.
make up for it.
That makes sense.
So-
All right, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Let's move over to the consent agenda, items E through I.
We're gonna send them next door to plug in a laptop at the ante room, and if you have time, do you wanna bring them back? How long will it take? So we can move on to the consent agenda and maybe come back? Is that what you'd like to do?
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Good evening.
So item E is the fiscal year 22-23 annual action plan and recommended budget. City Council action is needed to accept fiscal year 22 allocation of funds by the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development from the Community Development Block Grant and Home Investment Partnership Program. In addition, City Council must approve the fiscal year 22 annual action plan and budget recommendations in preparation for HUD submission deadline on August 16, 2022. I'm just gonna jump right in here. So the 23 annual action plan represents the third year of the consolidated plan, and it continues to address priorities identified in that plan, which are attainable housing development and preservation, neighborhood stabilization, non-housing community development, and equity and affirmatively furthering fair housing. So the citizen participation process was carried out through the development of the annual action plan. It started with a public meeting that was held on June 21st. At the regular meeting of the Commission on Community Relations and Development, we received public feedback at the public meeting. We also carried out a public hearing at your July 11th City Council meeting. We received valuable feedback at the public hearing. We also published a community needs assessment survey in various places and received some valuable feedback from that. And we also executed a 30-day public review of the draft of the annual action plan and comment period that ended last week. Again, we received valuable feedback from the public meeting and the public hearing, and details of those feedback are outlined in the final draft of the plan. With regards to the community needs assessment survey, again, it was distributed in various sites. The respondents were asked to rank from highest priority to lowest in the areas of decent and affordable housing, homelessness, suitable living environment, special needs housing, non-homeless, and public services. And we received 154 responses to the survey. We just wanted to share again the final results of the survey. So for decent and affordable housing, home ownership opportunities, down payment assistance remain as the highest priority. For homelessness, emergency shelter units, the need for emergency shelter units remain at highest priority. For suitable living environment, increased access to public improvements and infrastructure remain at highest priority. For community needs, for special needs housing priorities, supportive housing for elderly beat by 1 vote supportive housing for disabled veterans. Public service priorities, health care ranked as highest priority. Okay, and again, you've heard these numbers a few times over the past few weeks. For CDBG, we have a total amount available, $802,112. For home, our total amount of funding available is $1,186,687. For CDBG, we have a remaining amount of $396,247. For a total resources amount, $2,385,046. And again, I'll just run through program budget, which we reviewed on last Monday as well. I'll just highlight the activities again that we're proposing for this year's annual action plan. Home buyer assistance, we've allocated home funds for that. Demolition and clearance, we've allocated current CDBG and prior year CDBG. Public service, we've allocated CDBG, current CDBG. Chodo reserve, we've allocated current home funding. Administration, we've allocated what HUD allows us to allocate from each source of funding. Homeowner rehabilitation, we've allocated current CDBG, current home and prior year home funds. For homeowner rehab project delivery, we've allocated CDBG. For affordable housing, we've allocated home, current funding source, as well as prior year home. And then here again, as we discussed last week, for the Choice Neighborhood Planning Grant, if we are approved, we have allocated the $55,000 from CDBG prior year funds. For public facility improvement, we've allocated prior year CDBG funds. And for the broadband installation at 3 low to moderate income neighborhoods, we've allocated CDBG CV funds. And then if an urgent need arises as it relates to COVID-19, then we have some remaining CDBG CV funds that we can utilize.
Any questions? Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. If there are no questions, by motion, I ask council to accept the fiscal year 22-23 allocation of funds by HUD from the CDBG and home programs and approve the fiscal year 22-23 annual action plan and budget recommendations presented during City Council's regular meeting of August 1st, 2022, in preparation for HUD's submission deadline on August 16th, 2022, and also authorize the mayor and staff to execute and file the annual action plan along with required certifications, the SF 424, and grant agreements that are required to receive CDBG and home funding for and on behalf of the City of Goldsboro, and to make necessary changes to those documents where required by HUD.
Does anybody have any questions?
Ms. Williams, these programs are looking fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you.
You know, it's a lot of work. It's obvious it's showing.
Thank you so much.
Go ahead.
Yes. Oh, we're not, okay. Item F, it's the Home Buyer Assistance Program policy. So the city receives federal funds to administer CDBG and home programs to assist low to moderate income persons with housing and non-housing needs. Revisions to the policy and procedures for the Home Buyer Assistance Program were adopted by council on October 18, 2021. These policies and procedures serve as general guidelines for implementation of the program's activity. As part of the city's Home Buyer Assistance Program, eligible low to moderate income persons may receive down payment and closing cost assistance associated with the purchase of a single-family dwelling located within the city limits of Goldsboro, and for principal reduction to increase buyer affordability. Due to updates in HUD's federal regulations pertaining to the Home Buyer Program, it was necessary for the Community Relations and Development Department to make necessary revisions to the program's policy and procedures. On November 19, 2007, Council moved to approve an increase of the maximum amount of assistance from $10,000 to $30,000. On October 18, 2021, Council moved to approve the maximum amount of assistance from $30,000 to $20,000. The Community Relations Department seeks to serve even more applicants with the program and is asking Council to consider the maximum amount of assistance to be set at $10,000 per applicant.
Any questions?
I have one more item, Mayor, regarding the policy. There's a very minor change that needs to be made on page 4 of the policy. It's under item 6, repayment. And it's the first sentence that says repayment of the home buyer assistance deferred second mortgage loan. Sometimes we do fall in third place as the mortgage or lien holder. So we just need to remove the word second out of the policy.
Deferred, just have it.
Just deferred mortgage loan, yes, sir.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. And, contract award, public utilities.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. How you doing today?
Good evening.
I have 2 of them up today for contract awards. These are 2 of the beginning of the American Rescue Plans that we're working on. The first one is the flood barriers over at the water treatment plant. On Thursday, May 12th, 2 sealed bids were received for the 2022 flood barrier project. T11 submitted the low bid for the 2022 flood barrier project for the total cost of $168,200. Bids received for this project were tabulated as follows: T11 $168,200, and then Allen Grading Company Goldsboro $255,000. The amount of the project in the budget for FY 22-23 is short of $49,000. Funding is available through the utility capital reserve. The amount of this project, or the purpose of the work, consists of construction of new flood barrier foundation for the flood barriers around the water treatment plant. New cast-in-place foundations for the flood barriers to include excavation, relocation of existing 16-inch well vent, demolition and disposal of masonry structure and well vent, demolition of disposal of existing concrete curb and gutter and asphalt as required through the installation of the new concrete, provide and install risers at 2 existing valve boxes, required framework, reinforced steel, concrete, and other accessories for the cast-in-place concrete foundations. Backer rod and caulking at expansion joints, and 4 6-inch PVC Schedule 80 drain assemblies through new concrete foundations. Cleanup and restoration for the work area. The finance director will allocate $49,000 for the utility capital reserve to fully fund this project. It is recommended that the city council adopt the attached resolution authorizing the city manager to execute the contract in the amount of $168,200 with T.A. Loving Company to construct a new flood barrier foundation for the flood barriers.
Any questions? Okay, sir.
And the second one will be for the contract award for the 2022 Clearwell number 2 exterior coating project, formal bid number 1FB 2022-016. On Thursday, May 19th, 4 sealed bids were received for the 2022 Clearwell number 2 exterior coating project. Carolina Management Team, LLC, submitted a bid for the 2022 Clearwell exterior coating project for the total cost of $110,768. The bids received for this project are tabulated as follows. Carolina Management Team, $110,608. Enhanced Protective Industrial Coating, LLC, Greensboro, North Carolina, was for $49,269. Crom LLC in out of Raleigh, $173,100, and Creative Resurfacing LLC, High Point, North Carolina, for $146,600, or $146,600. The purpose of the work consists of coating Clearwell number 2 at the water treatment plant, preparing surfaces per SCPC-SP1 solvent cleaning, trim up extra joint materials, caulk all cracks using the BASF material seal NP1, apply 1 coat with Sherwin-Williams Lexan XP, apply 2 coats using Sherwin-Williams Lexan XP with 14-3 mils DAF per coat. Enhanced Protective Industrial Coatings was the lowest bid on the bid. The bid was not correct. This disqualified them from the bid process. It is recommended that the City Council adopt the attached resolution authorizing the city manager to execute the contract in the amount of $110,768 with Carolina Management Team for the exterior coating project for the Clearwell number 2. Any questions?
Mr. I'm
Yes.
just gonna ask the obvious question.
Yes.
Was, Enhanced Protectives, you said that there was, it was not correct on cost. Did they withdraw theirs after bid, or did they just have a typo?
No, they didn't have the correct number in there when they did for the cost of the coatings themselves.
Okay.
It was incorrect.
Okay. Now, did we inquire why? Was that because they had a surplus from another project and they were getting?
Yeah, we inquired. It was a mistake on their end.
Cool.
Their
Thank
estimate.
you.
Yes.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you, sir. Mr. Manager, are we back to the,
Got the playground, sir? Planning,
yes,
item I.
do you have your maps redrawn, sir?
Your Honor,
I have attempted to do what you all instructed, and I've determined it can't be done. There were not very many people on that west side of the street, but there were about 48, and that's enough to put District 1 under. The smallest district that's acceptable is 5,423. Making that change made District 1 5,399. So
if you leave the Center Street split in C, then District 1 is okay.
yes, sir.
Well, thank you so much for trying, and like I said, if you couldn't do it, I was okay with option C. So, thank you very
Thank you.
much.
I
Thank you.
appreciate all the input and instructions and thoughtful discussion that everybody in the council provided tonight.
Thank you for your time.
So, council, it appears, again, that C is the better choice for the general membership. Do we need a vote to accept that?
Motion second approved.
Okay, if so, then could I have a motion to accept choice C for the redistricting map?
I make a motion that we accept
Second.
option C.
Motion made,
Second.
second. All in favor of map C for redistricting, please raise your hand. Any opposed? Motion carried. I believe we're at the end of the work session. I'm sorry.
You have item I under the consent agenda to still go
Oh,
over.
okay, I'm sorry.
With Mr. Townsend, and then I hope maybe we can go to closed session since we have plenty of time between now and then for the 7 o'clock meeting.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, item I, I'm sorry.
Yes, sir. Good evening, Mayor. And again, Caroline, Bill, thank y'all for all your efforts
Thank
to help
you
us
so
through
much.
this redistricting process. They've been great to work with, and just so thankful that you were part of this team. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Council, this is a matter of formality tonight. This is pertaining to a special use permit for an indoor playground on the south side of Wayne Memorial Drive between East Lock Haven Drive and East US 70 Highway. This is in the Harris Teeter Commercial Strip Center, located off of Wayne Memorial Drive. City Council voted and approved at the July 7th, 2022 meeting the special use permit for the indoor playground. This request is not eligible for further deliberation or discussion. As I said before, the council has already approved the request. However, as part of the process, staff was required to create a written decision on behalf of the board to be approved. That decision was based off of the application, the evidence submitted that night at the public hearing, the above findings, as you see in your packet there of the written decision, and the city council's actions on each of the following standards found in section 2.4.10 of the UDO, which you see on the last page of the order. That number one, that the use will not materially endanger the public's health or safety, that the use will not substantially injure the beneficial use of adjoining or abutting property, that the use will be in harmony with existing development and uses within the area in which it is located, and that the use will be in general conformity with the City of Goldsboro Comprehensive Land Use Plan. Council unanimously voted in favor of each one of those items. All we're asking is simply that council approve this written decision and for the mayor to sign it once it is voted upon. Thank you.
Any questions? Okay. I guess now we can go into recess for until 7 o'clock.
We can go into closed session, sir?
Sorry?
Can we go ahead and knock out the closed session on this first?
Yeah, we can do the closed session. Yep. We'll have a motion to go in closed session.
So moved. Second.
Okay, all in favor of going to closed session? Please raise your hand. Okay, we're in closed session.
Mayor, if you'll just, again, just repeat since we're back in open session now on the record, just that we're in recess until 7 o'clock. Because that was stated in closed session. Okay.
Are we all right?
We just need to state that we're back in open session. That we're in
Are we
recess.
on?
Yeah, we're all,
We said that we usually, before we got back on the line. Okay.
yeah, but we're
So
back,
technically, we just need to make it
we're
on the
back
record
on.
that we're in recess. till
but we're in
7.
we're,
Real quick, yeah.
Okay, we're in open session at this time, and we're going to now recess until 7 o'clock. Okay, it's 7 o'clock on Monday, August 1st, 2022. This is Goldsboro City Council regular meeting. At this time, call the meeting to order. And I invite Pastor Mason Campbell from the Fellowship Baptist Church to come down and lead us into prayer. We follow by taking the Pastor. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Let us pray. Our holy God, we come before you tonight, Lord, with heavy hearts, Lord, knowing that 3 sheriff deputies, Lord, were fired upon tonight. We would pray, God, that you would be with each individual family member. Lord, thank you for their giving their lives to serve and protect this beautiful county in which we live. Tonight, Lord, you're known by many names. The Spirit of life, the Spirit of love. We ask your blessings here tonight as we gather together here of different individuals, different backgrounds, with one common goal to come together to find what it is we need to make this city better. Remind each of us, because we all forget from time to time, especially in this noisiness of life that passes us by, the political debates and today that are we're not only just leaders but also servants, and that is our responsibility. Grant us here the wisdom and the courage to know what we need to do to be right, to do right. Put agendas aside at times, Lord, and look out for the good of the community. Lord, I pray, God, that your sovereign will would direct the paths of these individuals. Thank you for their leadership and their guidance. Be with us, lead us, and guide us here tonight. It's in Christ's name we ask these things. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor, for your words.
Yes, sir. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hey, Madam Clerk, if you're called to roll.
Mayor Ham,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Polak,
Present.
Councilwoman Jones,
Here.
Councilman Broadway,
Here.
Councilwoman Matthews,
Present.
Councilman Gaylor.
Present. We're all here. Next item on the agenda is approval of the work session and regular meeting minutes of July 11th and the minutes of the recess meeting of July 15th, 2022. Is there a motion to approve those?
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and second. All in favor of approving the minutes as stated, raise your hand. All opposed? Okay. At this time, we have a presentation. I'm going to ask Council Member Broadway to read the Goldsboro Wayne Purple Heart Proclamation. Do we have anyone here from the Veterans Organization?
Okay. I'm going to go ahead. Goldsboro Wayne Purple Heart Proclamation. Whereas the original Purple Heart, known as the Badge of Military Merit, is the oldest military decoration in the world in present use. Whereas the Purple Heart was established by General George Washington on August the 7th, 1782, during the Revolutionary War, as the first award made available to the common soldier to recognize outstanding valor or merit. And whereas following nearly 150 years of disuse, the Purple Heart was reestablished by the President of the United States on February 22nd, 1932. And whereas the Purple Heart is awarded to military and civilian members of the armed forces who are wounded by an instrument of war in the hands of the enemy, and posthumously to the next of kin in the name of those who were killed in action or died from wounds received in action. Whereas the citizens of Goldsboro and Wayne County have great admiration and the utmost gratitude for all the men and women who have served their country in the armed forces. And whereas veterans have paid the high price for freedom, for leaving their families and communities and placing themselves in harm's way for the good of all. Whereas many citizens of our city, county, and state have earned the Purple Heart as a result of being wounded while engaged in combat with enemy forces. construed as a singular meritorious act of essential service. Now therefore be it resolved by the Goldsboro City Council and Wayne County Board of Commissioners do hereby honor the service and sacrifice of our nation's men and women in uniform, wounded or killed by the enemy while serving to protect the freedoms enjoyed by all Americans. Now further be it resolved that jointly the Goldsboro City Council and commend the Board of Directors of Goldsboro Wayne Purple Heart Foundation for honoring Purple Heart recipients at its annual banquet on August the 6th, 2022, as a special tribute to those service members who have received the Purple Heart and the families of Purple Heart recipients. Witness our hand and seals of the City of Goldsboro and the County of Wayne, Goldsboro, North Carolina, this first day of August.
Thank
That's
you.
what I have, sir.
I might say that the County of Wayne has a large number of Purple Heart recipients, and
And I'll be
attended
sure
their
we'll-
annual banquet for several years now, and it's always a poignant moment to see these gentlemen and ladies, by the way, attend this. Some people attend whose deceased spouses or loved ones are not there. They're there to represent them. So we honor those that have served and paid that price. Next item on the agenda is to fill the vacant council seat for District 6. If you recall, and everyone should, that Councilman Aycock resigned his seat, and we put forth the process of replacing Councilman Aycock. We had applicants, invited applicants to apply. They did, and on the meeting of the 11th of July, 3 council members, or 3 candidates came forward and made presentations to the council, showing their interest of joining the council. And tonight, I would ask the council if you've had time to consider the candidates' presentation, and are we ready to move forward to voting to replace them? I hear no objections, so at this time we'll motion this start. I need a motion to start the voting process.
I make a motion we begin the voting process for replacement of District 6 candidate.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, raise your hand. Okay. Madam Clerk, pass out the ballots. We'll get a ballot, I believe, with all 3 names. We'll mark one, and you'll pick those up and read the results. Is that correct? Thank you.
Thank you. I've already been read. I didn't know that was on.
Sorry, I have 2 without names on them.
Can you come to the podium, please?
I have 2 without names.
2 without?
Yeah.
to ballots without bid marked?
That's the first question up there.
The one that was folded is obviously mine, because I did not realize this was her name. I apologize for missing the instructions. Sorry about that.
Councilman Gaylor, Gregory Batts. Mayor Ham, Gregory Batts. Mayor Pro Tem Polak, Charles Wright. Brandy Matthews, Charles Wright. Bill Broadway, Gregory Batts. Hiawatha Jones, Gregory Batts. 4 for Gregory Batts, 2 for Charles Wright.
Is there a motion that the council accept the tabulation of the votes as stated and the candidate received the majority of votes to be appointed to the vacant seat? That being Gregory Batts.
I move by virtue of the vote that council appoint Gregory Batts to District 6C.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, raise your hand. All opposed? Motion is carried. Mr. Batts will be sworn in at the next meeting. Okay, we'll move to the next item on public hearings. We'll start with rezoning. Planning, come forward, please.
Good evening, councilmen and women.
Good evening.
Let's talk about our only request, rezoning request tonight. This is part of our new process where you will hear the recommendation of the Planning Commission at the conclusion of our presentation of staff and the Planning Commission's recommendation. We'll have a public hearing. At the conclusion of the public hearing, feel free to ask any questions regarding the case, and at the conclusion of that hearing, you can make a decision at that time to vote for or against the rezoning request. So tonight, Z1722, the applicant is Elma Garcia, is asking for a rezoning request from residential 12 to residential manufactured 9. This property is located on the west side of US 13 North between Central Heights Road and Tommy's Road. The applicant is requesting a change of zone for the subject property from the residential 12 to RM9 zoning district for the purpose of locating a manufactured home on the property, which is considered a private lot. The frontage for the property exists along an access easement off of US 13, approximately 210 feet, as indicated by the gravel access road. We're talking about 1.29 acres. Surrounding zoning to the north is residential 12 manufactured non-conforming, and is the same applies to the south and to the east as well as to the west of the subject property. The parcel proposed to be rezoned is currently vacant and has been used for agricultural related purposes. The city's land use plan recommends medium density development for the property. Here's our current rezoning map. Our comprehensive land use plan again shows medium density development for the property. The location of residential land uses is based on existing residential development patterns. Constraints to development, such as floodplains, wetlands, etc., and the location of infrastructure such as water, sewer, and transportation network. The corresponding zoning districts for this medium density residential district designation is residential 9 single family, RM9 for residential manufactured homes on individual lots, R12 single family, R16 single family, with R15 located in Wayne County zoning district. Let's see. This is a conventional rezoning, and all potential uses allowed in this residential manufactured zoning district, as well as the proposed rezonings, compatibility with Goldsboro's land use plan are to be considered. Any use of the property will be required to comply with the Goldsboro UDO. The property proposed to be rezoned is adjacent to and located across the street from existing private lots currently occupied by manufactured homes, as you see here. If rezoned, the property would satisfy a component of the residential manufactured non-zoning district, which is to allow property owners the opportunity to place manufactured homes on an individual lot. After a TRC meeting was held in the planning department, the subject property was identified as not being located within the city of Goldsboro. However, it is located within our 1 mile extraterritorial jurisdiction. As such, city water and sewer are not available to serve the property. The property is not located within a special flood hazard area. Staff is recommending approval of the rezoning request based on the fact that the proposed rezoning would be compatible with existing residential manufactured development adjacent to and in close proximity to the subject property, as well as would satisfy the purpose of the RM9 zoning district by allowing manufactured homes on individual lots. On July 25th, 2022, the Planning Commission voted to recommend approval of the rezoning request and voted in favor of the consistency statement, which is attached to your agenda packet. As you'll see on the next page, the consistency statement that was voted upon by the Planning Commission was that the City of Goldsboro Planning Commission finds that the proposed rezoning to be consistent with the medium density residential land use designation. That the City of Goldsboro finds that the rezoning request is reasonable and in the public best interest due to the existing and adjacent residential land uses compatible to the proposed use, and the fact that the manufactured homes on private lots are permitted use in the R9 zoning district. So, action, the council now is being asked to conduct the public hearing, and at the conclusion of the public hearing, council shall vote to adopt the recommendation for approval and the consistency statement that is attached that the Planning Commission has provided, and vote to adopt the approval ordinance with the inclusion of the consistency statement, or council shall vote to deny and adopt the ordinance to deny the inclusion of a statement that deems the rezoning request to be inconsistent. Does the council have any questions regarding this request?
Any questions?
If there are any, Mayor, I'll turn it over to you for the public hearing.
Okay, this is a public hearing for zoning of the 17-22. Anyone wishing to speak for or against, please come forward. Anyone wishing to speak for or against? Okay. Now, state your name, please.
Alma Garcia. I am the one that bought the property at the time, so
Can you speak,
Ma'am, can you lower the microphone?
Pull it down for you. There you go.
hi, my name is Alma Garcia. I am the lady that bought the property of the zoning. My real estater sent this because she's the one that's so. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I turned it off. It said off. There. My real estater told me to hand this to y'all. Who do I give this? Oh, sorry. Who do I give that to?
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, that's all she gave me. When I bought this property, when I looked it up and it was for sale, it said it didn't have no conditions, no zonings on it, because I've been looking for a piece of land. So I had talked to the real estater. The real estater had told me that everything was good. She said the attorney, Lucas, said everything was good towards the land, also that I could put a mobile home, a double wide there. So so when I come over here to the city to find out about the land, to get an address, that's when they tell me I was in a red zone. So that I was like, I called the attorney, I called the lawyer. They said that they never knew, because on this paperwork right here where it says location zoning, it shows on there that it don't have no zoning conditions. And she said also when they looked at the tax, it didn't have nothing to do, they said it didn't have no zoning conditions either. So that's the reason I went ahead and bought the property, not knowing that I was gonna go through that. So that's the reason I'm asking to please see if y'all can rezone the address for me.
Thank you. You did very well.
Thank you. Did y'all need to see this?
Yes, ma'am.
Could you repeat the last sentence that you said? I'm sorry. Could we please do what?
Rezone
Okay, I'm sorry.
for me.
Anyone have any
Thank you.
questions?
Did you
Thank
say
you.
you wanted to see this?
That's a tax card.
Where is that?
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishes to speak for or against? Anyone else? If not, I'll close this public hearing on this item. Ask the council now to make a motion to either adopt or to deny the recommendation for the approval and the consistency statement that the Planning Commission has provided, and vote to adopt the approval ordinance with the inclusion of the consistency statement, or to deny it. I have a motion.
Move to adopt Z 1722 as per the Planning Commission.
If there's a motion made to adopt the rezoning, is there a second?
Second.
Motion is made and second. All in favor, raise your hand. All opposed? Motion's carried. At this time, if there's any members of the Planning Commission present, they can be excused if they so desire. You've heard the consent agenda items. Excuse me, I'm getting a little ahead here. Next item is the public comment period. At this point in time, anyone wishing to speak on any subject you might have, please come forward. You have 3 minutes to speak. When the clock is shown on the screen, you start, the time starts then. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members. Good to see you all today. I'm here because when I was a council member, we had something that was of significance, importance here for Patrick Best Dillard track. We actually...
Commissioner,
Hey,
they're asking.
Antonio.
Yes.
Right, yeah.
I can't hear you, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good evening again. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, so when I was a city council member here, we actually had voted and we had a grant for $50,000 for Patrick Best track. And that had went out to bid, and thus far there's been no work. So I want to know if we can find out what's going on through Parks and Rec. If it's not bidded out, if we can rebid it out for the repaving. Okay, I mean, it's very important. I think a lot of people have advocated for it. Myself, other elected officials, as well as people in our communities. They love that track, so thank you.
You're saying Boston Rec, is that what you're saying?
No, Parks and Rec, yeah, Miss Felicia, she knows
Okay.
the grant.
Yeah,
And
I'd
the
just like
bid,
to know
the
that.
bid information, give me a second.
Okay.
Is that the Dillard track we're talking?
It is. It's the Dillard it's the Dillard Middle track, and the bid request was IFB 2019-002. Okay, thank you.
We'll check it out, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Mr.
sir.
Mayor, can you tell Councilmember Jones what the name of that grant was? When you,
I'll have to
'cause
go
you sent
look
it
up.
to me back
I'll
then.
have to go look up the grant information and get it to council. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. I'm here to, thank the community for coming out to the Ice Storm's Heart of Fun event this past Sunday. We had a blast. It was an amazing event. This is our second year of doing it. And I want to thank the people from the city who supported it, who came out in the rain. Thank you, Tim, Councilwoman Matthews, for getting me in touch with the city manager and the people who came out to fix the electrical, as well as the fire department. Another thing that I would like to say, though, is that, you know, when the streetscape project was done, the fact that, you know, you anticipate having more and more festivals in downtown, because that's really kind of what it's about. But I think it's disappointing that the power outlets can only hold Christmas lights. Like, I think that was such a bad oversight, and it needs to be changed, because I know for our event, we were told we can only plug up probably 2 fans and a bubble machine, and then everything would be thrown off. I think that definitely needs to be changed. It also needs to be changed because in front of the ice storm, that outlet just doesn't work. It continues to not work, and it looks very odd when the Christmas lights do come on that everyone else is lit up except for the ice storm. I mean, I think we're pretty cool, so we should be lit up and seen just like anyone else. But the electrical system and the outlets, that's something I think is a priority. I mean, I think we had the same issue during the Juneteenth festival. Like, we didn't have any power. So I would really like for this council to look into that and make those adjustments. The next thing that I do want to talk about is your choice tonight. I mean, the city of Goldsboro, I've been here for quite some time, and strong leadership is what you need moving forward. And nepotism and the other issues that you guys had, I'm really disappointed in the 4 of you, because I don't really think you made the decision based on moving forward. I think it's, you know, Mr. Wright, who has given so much to this community, and you chose someone who came up and said out of his own mouth he had no plans. So I guess with that being said, I must say thank God for the county, because it seems that's where our leadership is coming from, and that's where our future is coming from. But if we really want to change Goldsboro, to make it better and to rebrand yourself, you need all the help you're going to get, and you need strong leadership. So we need to do better. If that's your slogan, do more, you got to do more.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak? Good evening, sir.
Good evening, members of the council.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
As you recall, six months ago, I was promised that I would be allowed an opportunity to make a presentation before the council. And I've reached my 85th year, and 6 months is, my time is running out, so I have an idea that I think will help this city. I live on South Audubon Avenue. And the other day, there was an incident on South Audubon Avenue. Do you want the city of Goldsboro to begin to look like Durham and Raleigh and all the negative that goes on? There's some things we can do right now to cut that out, to stop the future from making Goldsboro a negative city. And I have an idea that I'd like to make that presentation to you. So I'm going to wait on that. I was told that I would be given an opportunity to come here and make the presentation. I'm going to wait, and I hope my time doesn't run out.
Sure, please do. Anyone else wish to speak? Anyone else wish to speak?
Excuse me, is he aware he can make a presentation at any time?
Well, he can come back, get on the agenda.
Okay, did you share that with him so he would?
Tim just did.
Okay, all right, I'm sorry.
Okay, if no one wishes to speak, I'll close the public comment period and we'll go to the consent agenda.
Sir, consent agenda items E through I are presented for council approval.
Is there a motion to approve the consent agendas E through I?
So moved.
Second.
Motion's made and second. Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Mayor Ham,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Polak,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jones,
Yes.
Councilman Broadway,
Yes.
Councilwoman Matthews,
Yes.
Councilman Galen.
Yes.
Motion's carried. The consent agenda items are approved. Next item is the items requiring individual actions. So we have another rezoning issue. So, Planning Department.
Good evening, Mayor Ham and Council. This item was heard by Council on July 11th for its public hearing, and it went to the Planning Commission on July 25th. This is one of the last rezonings that's going to undergo the old process. This was a straight rezoning request to rezone parcel 3527273569, located on the south side of Ditchbank Road between Woodpeck Road and South NC 111. It's a request to rezone from community shopping and R20 conditional zoning district to the R9 zoning district. Just to briefly go over this. Currently, as you can see, a portion of the property has that R20 conditional zoning that was conditionally zoned back in 2013. The other portion of the property is zoned community shopping. The surrounding zoning is predominantly Wayne County zoning, with to the north there being Wayne County community shopping and Wayne County RA30, to the south RA30, east RA30, and then to the west you have RA30 and shopping center. The land use plan for this shows that commercial development has been recommended for a portion of the property that fronts on NC 111, and the remaining property along Ditchbank Road being identified for rural residential agricultural. The corresponding zoning districts for both of these designations does not include the R9 proposed zoning district. Looking at this, the majority of this subject property is already satellite annexed into the city limits. A portion of the property is located out of the city limits, which would need to be brought in. Whenever this was rezoned back in 2013, it was rezoned for the purpose of developing a 36-lot residential subdivision. This site was never developed. Although the comprehensive plan recommends commercial and rural residential development for this area, the plan also does support medium to high density development where plans to extend city utilities exist. Staff is recommending approval of this rezoning request based on the fact that there's existing residential development patterns and there's limited constraints to development, and the fact that the comprehensive land use plan does support the higher density residential development as it pertains to the location of infrastructure to the site, such as city utilities and a transportation network. On July 25th, after the Planning Commission had the opportunity to review this, they also voted to recommend approval, and you can see the attached consistency statement which the Planning Commission voted to recommend to this council. The required action for council now is to vote to either adopt the recommendation and the consistency statement provided by the Planning Commission, or to vote to deny and deem this proposal to be inconsistent. And if there's any questions, I can take them at this time.
Are there any questions? Okay, we have you had it presented to you. Is there a motion to accept or deny the recommendation?
I move we accept the recommendation.
Is there a second? Second. Motion made and second. All in favor, raise your hand. All opposed? No one opposed. Motion's carried. Next item is Z-1622.
This again is a item that was heard by council on July 11th for public hearing and went to planning commission on July 25th. This is a rezoning request for the Greenleaf Christian Church located on the east side of North William Street, located north of Orange Street. This rezoning request is to rezone 4 separate parcels from general business and residential 6 to O&I 1. Looking at the current zoning, you can see the parcel that the church sits on is already zoned O&I 1, with the 4 parcels that are proposed for rezoning to the south being zoned general business and residential 6. You can see that there's general business and residential 6 zoning surrounding this. Looking at the land use plan, these parcels that are proposed for rezoning are located within 2 separate designations, one of those being commercial, and the other one being the high-density residential. The proposed O&I 1 zoning district is not a corresponding zoning district for either one of these designations. With this being a conventional rezoning, as you know, all potential uses of the property should be considered. With all properties being under the same ownership as the church, if they are rezoned, they would satisfy a component of the O&I 1 zoning district's purpose, which is to provide office and community institutions in locations close to residential and commercial use. Staff is recommending approval of the rezoning request based on the fact that there is adjacent O&I 1 zoning and that this rezoning would satisfy that component that was previously mentioned. At the July 25th meeting, the Planning Commission did vote to recommend approval of the rezoning request and voted in favor of the consistency statement which is attached. And at this time, council shall vote to adopt the recommendation of Planning Commission and to include the consistency statement, or to vote to deny the rezoning request and adopt the inconsistency statement. And if there's any questions, I can take them at this time.
Any questions? Okay. No questions. Is there a motion to adopt or deny the rezoning of Greenleaf Christian Church?
Move to adopt.
Second. Motion's made and second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of adopting, raise your hand. Any opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, next item is the amendment to the Fields Friends of Seymour agreement. As you recall, we have had a agreement with the Friends of Seymour act as our advocate for Seymour Johnson Air Force Base, and it's time for us to update that agreement. Mr. Manager, you want to speak to that?
Yes, sir. This is about amendment to the Friends of Seymour agreement in order to raise funds to help support its efforts to preserve, grow, and maintain its relationship with Seymour Johnson Air Force Base. Members of the Military Affairs Committee founded Seymour Support Council, Incorporated, a nonprofit corporation which is currently known by its registered assumed name, Friends of Seymour Johnson Air Force Base. Friends of Seymour Johnson Air Force Base has proven its value in building and maintaining relationships with senior leadership of the United States Air Force, in directing lobbying efforts in support of Seymour Johnson Air Force Base, and in identifying and helping to eliminate or mitigate development that would restrict, limit, or diminish the quality of training or the performance of missions at Seymour Johnson Air Force Base. The original agreement was approved by City Council in January 2014, executed in March 2014, and was a joint agreement with the County of Wayne. The amendment and restated agreement will be signed by the City of Goldsboro, independent from the County of Wayne. The revisions include a 2-year agreement instead of a continuous open-ended agreement, transfer of the supervision of payment of consultants from the Friends of Seymour to the city and the county, update the financial compensation and travel for the Friends of Seymour representative, update the financial compensation for administrative expenses, which is currently provided by the Chamber of Commerce of Wayne County. Expenses amount to $16,125 per year. Last year it was budgeted $15,875, and this year it was budgeted $16,125. So this new contract updates the old one and allows us to pay last year's payment. It's recommended the council adopt the following title resolution, authorizes the city manager to sign amendment agreement with the Friends of Seymour. Are there any questions?
Discussion.
We have Mr. Edmondson here, the president of the Friends of Seymour, if anybody has a question for him or myself.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Motion is made and second to adopt the amendment to the agreement. Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor, raise your hand.
Okay.
No opposed. Motion's carried.
Thank you.
Okay. Next item is city manager's report.
Yes, sir. I'd like to give an update on COVID. The Wayne County COVID level is high. The COVID cases in the county increased 58% over the last week. As you know, Governor Cooper intends to lift the COVID state of emergency on August 15th. He reminds North Carolinians to stay prepared. And Mayor Hamm is intending to lift the state of emergency for the city on August 15th as well. City employees were updated on city COVID policy. As you will note, city employees will, while they're at work, while they're indoors or within a vehicle within the 6 feet of another person for 15 minutes or more, I'm asking them to wear their masks to reduce the spread of the virus, to keep everyone as safe as possible. Engineering, the State Water Infrastructure Authority has given out ARPA grants. The city will receive $300,200 for 2017 design fees. Appreciate the engineering department putting in that request and receiving those funding. Parks and Rec professional wrestling event was held at W.A. Foster to raise fees for Ashford Boxing, and the youth sports registration is underway until August 28th. From Public Works, I'd like to announce that leaf collection is back on track. Limb collection is currently 3 days behind, and we've recently hired several workers that are helping us catch up on that work. For public utilities, we did a study on the water treatment plant. That was conducted by Summit Design and Engineering Services, which confirmed the building and exterior concrete basins are generally in good condition. The most pressing issue is associated with the roofing system, which should be evaluated and repaired at the earliest possible convenience. The remaining items identified in the roughly $250,000 repair cost are either cosmetic or non-time sensitive. It is recommended the repairs be implemented within a 5-year time frame to preserve the integrity of the plant's structural components. Staff will begin that planning effort and get back to you on those contracts. I'd like to announce tomorrow night at Herman Park Center, you'll have National Night Out between 6 and 8 p.m. While I'm on the subject of law enforcement, I would like to thank the sheriff's deputies and their families and friends. We are very sorry to hear of the shootings that occurred earlier this morning. Please know we have the deepest respect for the officers and the sheriffs, and they have our gratitude. I'd also like to thank and congratulate Mr. Batts for being appointed as the District 6 councilman, and thank Mr. Wilson and Mr. Wright for also applying for that position, and everyone's service both in the past and in the future. Thank you.
Okay, I'll go around the counter here. Mr. Gaylor, you have any closing remarks?
Just one. It's been mentioned a couple of times already, but it's been a violent weekend, and it spilled over into today. And I know that law enforcement has an incredibly difficult job to do, and when something as supposedly uneventful as serving process, like what today was supposed to be, turns into life flights, things are out of control. And where I'm going with this is I want to thank those citizens who take the risk, both with law enforcement and also those that
stay very quiet but give information. Because what I want to point out is that most of these really unacceptable acts of violence have resulted in arrests. And that comes from information. And the citizens of our city and county and region who are willing to take that risk and give that information deserve our silent gratitude. And I really appreciate that. I really appreciate the officers that put themselves in line. And I just remind our citizens to look after each other and try to get through this summer. Thank you.
Ms. Matthews.
So I'm going to start on a good note and end on a good note. But first things first, I want to publicly thank our Community Relations Director, Ms. Felicia Williams, and the Mayor's Council for Persons with Disabilities, because I went to them with a need for a resident. And I mean, so many people went right into action per usual. And because of that, this resident was able to get what they needed and to get it quickly. So thank you to that committee. I love serving with you, champions for those persons with disability. And thank you for, thank you, Ms. Felicia. So back on July 18th of 2022, I emailed our city manager and I also emailed our mayor to ask for an explanation as to why we were continuing to delay the conversation about nonprofit funding. After reading the recent city manager's report, it is also being delayed again for another 2 weeks probably. But neither of them to date have responded to that email. Understand that I am not asking this question for myself because neither of my organizations are up for requesting funding. And in my opinion, the lack of response, care, and concern is just another example of what I had to endure the past 3 years. Not so much from the city manager, but definitely from the mayor. So while this is a concern for me, I'm asking on behalf of the 4 nonprofits that reach out to me almost weekly, asking for an update and when they can expect or if they're even going to get any type of funding. So I want to take a second to see if the city manager or the mayor will take just a moment to provide at least some type of feedback for those organizations that don't read the newspaper. I heard that there was an article about nonprofit funding, so I don't know if staff provided a reason there. The large majority don't read the paper, but a large majority of them are going to tune in tonight. So if you could provide some type of explanation to me, because I deserve that, and then to those nonprofits as well, so that they know. Anybody?
I'm happy to bring it to council when council's ready to work on it. I mean, I have no idea what the way ahead is.
The decision is being made to constantly delay it. So the person that's making the decision to delay this conversation so that we can disperse the money is who needs to provide the explanation. So if that is not you, then the explanation should not come from you. But those persons deserve to know what the next is for them. And we just keep delaying it. And to me, I think it's just putting those nonprofits in a tougher spot.
We'll put it on the agenda for next meeting.
Okay.
Thank you. I appreciate that. The next thing is that, this next piece that I'm going to share, I started working on it July 25th of this year, 2022. And I would hope at some point that this board would vote and make decisions that was in the best interest of the residents and the city over their own interest. We saw this board create a system that would ensure they maintain some type of level of control over who would sit in the seats that were appointed. They ensured that they maintained the power to choose what was best for them instead of what was best for you. My apologies to the other 2 candidates because honestly, and I'm going to say this, I don't think you ever really had a chance of sitting in that seat. What's sad is that a large majority of us called this to the letter already. That's sad. This is not to take a hit at the individual that was chosen. I look forward to working with you. Yet, this still continues to shine a light on just how this board makes decisions. It is almost offensive to think that the decisions are being made to choose persons that either fit the status quo or one that can be coached to. We have seen this decision and we have seen this action with District 1, with the mayor appointment, with the District 5 seat, and now the District 6 seat. Some of us are fed up with this, with the same old, and nothing changes if nothing changes. I do want to speak specifically to Mr. Wilson because I noticed his age and I got excited when young people get excited about politics and sitting at a table that they are not welcomed at. Young people, we just have to fight our way through to the table. So I want to say to him and to Mr. Wright, if you would like to serve the residents of District 6, there is an election that is coming up. And I also advise all the residents to really get involved in what's happening on the local level because you, the people, have the power. Your vote and your voice is the most powerful tool that you have. So I too am extremely disappointed in this board, and I'm sad to say that I wasn't even surprised in the choice that was made. But on the flip side, I am going to invite all of the District 4 residents to join me this Saturday. And I am inviting you to travel just a little bit over the district line to Bachelor Brothers Funeral Establishment, who will be having their grand opening. They're going to have live entertainment, free food, community activities, giveaways, and you get a chance to view the facility. So hopefully I'll see you on Saturday. That's August the 6th. It will be from 12 to 4. Have a good night.
Councilman Matthews dropped my name because I want to work there. I've been trying to get up with a job there, so I'm serious about that. I want to make that public. Okay. I just want to say that I want to encourage everyone to be safe with the increasing numbers of COVID, as well as preparing the students that will be coming back to school on the 8th of this month. If they need help with resources that they may need in the upcoming weeks, I will notify you of a time. My lodge will be having a back to school giveaway. We haven't put in a dispensation, so we don't know the date as of yet, but I will have the date by the next council meeting. In closing, I speak frequently of consistency, and I didn't really have a question for Mr. Wright during the interview process, but I did say, I would rather ask him the question, how long has he been a part of the city? And he said since the Mayor Plunkett administration. So that really meant a lot to me to see he's been active that long. And also, Mr. Rice, I see out in the crowd, as far as your consistency with the homeless, we did get an opportunity, myself and Councilman Gaylor, walked through the tent city this past week. And I'm telling you, it's hard to even talk about what those people have to undergo. The first time I went was a tour at night. This time was more graphic. It was during the daytime, and a lot of stuff that we didn't see during the initial tour, we got to see. So I encourage all the, and it was kind of a last minute thing for me that sort of reached out to more of the council members, but I encourage everybody that's able to go tour that, tour the grounds. I was out there for less than an hour, and I literally almost passed out just from the humidity and heat, and that was just me visiting, and these are the conditions these people have to live in. So I tip my hat off to those two men in the crowd for their consistency, their passion. Mr. Wilson, as Councilmember Matthews said, appreciate your interest in this position as a young person with aspirations of being in politics. Mr. Wright, I know I don't have to tell you this, but I also encourage you to continue to be an advocate, which you've provided so much for the city as of now, without even being on this board. So I'll encourage you to continue to mold us and help us move forward. That's all I have. Thank you.
First thing I'd like to say is I'd like to congratulate the council for supporting our Friends of Seymour proclamation. Sometimes we forget and we take Seymour Johnson for granted, and we forget all the positive things that base brings to us. It's not just monetary, it's who's working in the soup kitchen, it's who's working all over this city, who's helping. And we forget that sometimes. And we need to tell them thank you. And just so everybody knows, the city of Goldsboro was the first military city to receive a distinguished award as being the most friendly and cooperative military city. of anywhere in the country, and we can't let that go. The second thing I have is, for many years, I was on Crime Stoppers, and for some reason, I don't hear as much about Crime Stoppers, but I'm telling you, Crime Stoppers has money. It's an easy number to remember, and if we would use Crime Stoppers as much as we should and could, it's an anonymous, nobody knows, all the payments are in cash. I will tell you, they do great things. Let's don't forget Crime Stoppers. That's all I have, sir.
Ms. Jones?
Yes, first, I would ask the community and the citizens to join in prayer against crime in Wayne County and to pray for the deputies, their families, and the family of the victims. And we're very grateful for the services that the Wayne County Sheriff and policemen give. I would like to congratulate Mr. Batts on his position. I would also like to say to the other applicants, Mr. White, I've always told you how brilliant you are. And this is no offense to any of the council people here, but I really think that your level of intelligence and brilliance should be at a higher level than in the city council. That is my honest belief. Mr. Wilson, thank you so much for applying. I really did enjoy some of the things that you had to say on your application. And I just ask that everyone continue to pray for our city. And also, anyone, if you would like to join Tommy Foundation, we do service the tent community on Tuesdays. Mayor Ham has been out, and City Councilwoman Matthews was going to come out, but her schedule was, she had a busy schedule, so she didn't get a chance to come. But please come. We feed them. We talk to them. We've had 3 that are now going to rehab. So we're very, very excited about that. And it is something, Tent City is something to see. So we need to work toward helping the unhoused everywhere in our county.
Thank you, Ms. Jones. In closing, I'd just like to add to the comments made about the incident today and the fact that we have 3 deputy sheriffs that have been injured as a result of that. And as my understanding, the situation is still unresolved at this point. I've asked prayers for them and their families that they recover and get back to their normal life. I also want to thank Mr. Wright and Mr. Wilson for applying for the position of 6th District Representative, and congratulate Mr. Batts. Other remarks have been said already on other topics that I won't cover, but that's it. And if there's no other business, then the meeting is adjourned.